A stem plot is another statistical graph we can use for organizing and presenting data. We use stem plots to display quantitative data, numerical data, generally from small data sets. So let's look at an example. We want to create a stem plot for the IQ scores for 30 sixth graders. So we have our data, and it's not organized in order. So it might be easier, we don't have to do this, but it might be easier to get them in order before we start. So let's see what our minimum value is. 90s, 87, 81. And there's another 81, but it looks like 81 is our minimum value. So we've got an 81, and we've got another 81, and I think I'll just cross these out as I go so I don't duplicate anything. And then what was next? And there was an 84, 84, and let's see, 87. Any more 87s? And 88. Looks like that's our last IQ score in the 80s. Okay, is there there's a 90 right there. 90. Any more 90s? 95, 94, 93, 92. There's a 92. And then let's see, no more of those, but there was a 93. And here's a 94. And here's a 94. I think that's all the 94s. 95. Yes, we have a 95. How about 96? Here's a 97. And any more of those? No, but a 98. Let's see, I'll move down here. 98. Is that all the 98s? I saw, see, we've got a 99 here and another 99 here. So I think that's all the 90s. Okay, now a 100. There's a 101. I think that's it. 101. Any more of those? No. But we have, here's a 102. And another 102. Is that it? Let's see, 109, 102. There's another 102. And let's see, 114. 114, 104. Let's see, 102. Do we have anything else? 109. 105. There we go. And now 107 and 109. And let's see, there was another 109. Okay. Any other? No. How about 111? No. 114. 115. Let's see, I saw one of those. There it is. And let's see, 117. 119. Any others? No. Okay, how about 122? And in the 120s, we've got a 126. And is that it? Oh, and there's our max right there, the 151. So we jump to 151. Okay, now that we've got our data in order, it'll be a little easier to put this in a stem and leaf plot. So what a stem and leaf plot does is divide up each one of these values with a stem portion and a leaf portion. The leaf portion is generally the last digit in the values, whether it's beyond a decimal place or just in the ones place, and we make a dividing line between the two. On the left we have our stem, or stems, and on the right we have our leaves. Okay. So now we need to decide what we would where we would begin. Our lowest value is 81. We're going to let our leaves be the ones, so the stems are the other digits. So when I write an 8 right here, what I'm actually saying is 80. And so then the next group will be the 90s. And then when I put a 10 here, that actually represents 100. And we know we get into the teens in the hundreds. And the 120s, and I didn't make my line long enough. Let's do that. Carry this down. Okay. The 130s, the 140s. Now we didn't have values in the 130s and 140s, but we can't just skip them because we do have a value in the 150s, so we do have to record that. Now we'll come back and put in the leaves, and now that my data is in order, this will be really easy to do. When I put a 1 here, that means 81, and I had 2 of those, so I'll put another 1, and then the next value was a 4, 84. My next one was 87. The next one was 88. So I've got my values here in the 80s. Now if I'm careful in how I space these, then I will actually be able to line up the values, and you'll see how that falls out and makes a nice graph. So our next number was 90. The next IQ score was 92, 93, 94, another 94, a 95, a 97, a 98, 99, and another 99. Okay, that's all the 90s. And see how, because I'm spacing them as best as I can, you can see the relative number in the 90s versus the 80s. Okay, then we had a 101, a 102, another 102, and another 102, a 105, 7, 9, 9. And that's it in that category. Then 114, 115, 117, and 119. There were only 4 in that group. In the 120s we had 122 and 126. And now I'm not going to indicate anything here in the row for the 130s or the 140s because there weren't any values there. But I am going to come down here and put my last value, 151. And so it's also helpful to provide a key for someone who would be looking at this data. So over here I'm going to make a little key and say that, just pick a value, what this, when you see this, an 11 on one side and a 7 on the other, what you're seeing, that would represent an IQ score of 117. So that makes it really clear for anybody looking at my stem and leaf plot what my values actually are, because assuming they wouldn't be seeing all the data up there, they would just be seeing the stem and leaf plot. And so as I mentioned, if you're kind of careful on your spacing, you can see that if you turn the stem and leaf plot on its side, you actually have a visual of the shape of the data. So imagine turning it on its side, and then you can see how it comes to a quick peak here in the 90s and then drops off, and then we've got this one value way down there. Sorry about that, but you can see where we're trying to go here. There we go. Okay, so that's one advantage of the stem and leaf plot, is that you do have a visual of the shape of the data. You also retain all the raw data. See, I have this graph. It's a visual. It shows me my bars that are a lot like the histogram bars, only they're horizontal. But I also have all the raw data. Now, when you have a small data set, this is possible. And in retaining the raw data and putting them in order, now I didn't really have to put them in this order. I could have mixed up within the 80s and mixed up within the 90s, but it's kind of nice to put them in order, because then in a small data set, if you're interested, you can quickly find the middle value in your data set, and you can certainly see your minimum value, the 81, your maximum value. So having that original data helps you to get some other information about your data set. So stem and leaf plots are really handy for small data sets. They retain all the original data and give you a nice visual of the shape or distribution of the data.